Good morning from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, where we're doing our first video, Coffee with Steve. And I'll be discussing business and entrepreneurship and getting started into business and anything and everything that pertains to business, finance, SEO, marketing, website, employees, bootstrapping. There's a good subject right there to talk about, bootstrapping. So I'll give everybody a minute to get their coffee poured and grab a seat. In the meantime, I'll discuss with you what I feel gives me the right to provide the advice. Now, in 2004, I started my first business on a $15,000 investment, and in a period of 4 years, I generated over $23.5 million, created a portfolio of 5 companies, and had presence in 5 cities and 5 states. In 2008, we suffered from the subprime crisis that brought a lot of people down. I think in 2009 there were something like 60,000 business bankruptcies compared to the 16,000 that occurred in 2008. I was able to sustain my business through good money management practices up until 2011, and I had watched revenues dwindle from about 5.5 million a year to about 370,000. And 370,000, I was pretty frustrated. I was disgusted and felt jaded, and shut everything down because to me that wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth my time. So that's where I'm at. I'll continue on a little bit with that. Also was a senior business analyst for a international consulting firm based out of Chicago. And when I had applied with them after closing my businesses down, they flew me to Chicago and gave me a 2-week crash course in an MBA course. And one of the books that I was to read was called the 10-Day MBA. And it's a hard read. It's a difficult read. And if you aren't keen on reading, then I tell you right now, this book is not for you. But that shouldn't stop you from learning, because this is how we stay young. We through learning. And this is how we stay active and engaged. And to be engaged in community is part of what being an entrepreneur is. One of the roles and responsibilities of an entrepreneur. Now, that doesn't mean you have to, but I would highly recommend it, as this is where you begin to meet people. This is where you get your name and your reputation out into your community. This is where you get involved in your community and giving back. Because the whole idea of being an entrepreneur is to solve problems or to help people's lives be more comfortable through the products or services that you offer. Now, that could range anything from transportation to air conditioning service to a race car team. I mean, you really, there are no limits as to what a small business actually is. But to know what the role and responsibility is of the entrepreneur is extremely important. So how do you get started with your first business? It takes passion. You have to have a lot of passion for an idea that you believe in. If you believe that you can produce a better mousetrap than your competitors, and you have a passion to serve, and it's not just about the money, then you're well on your way to becoming an entrepreneur. So how do you get started? There's a lot of different ways to get started. And a big myth is a lot of people think, well, I'll just get me an SBA loan. I'm here to tell you right now that SBA loans are extremely difficult to get. My credit score was around 740, something like that, across my FICOs. Now, Dun and Bradstreet, also known as DNB, once you become a member with them, they begin to generate a profile on you, and you begin to develop a business score profile. And my business score profile was equivalent to the 730 on a FICO score. In 2010, I had made several attempts to try to get a small business loan. And you would think that with my long history of credit and my ability to pay back loans either by the due dates or prior to the due dates, you would think it would get me a loan, but it didn't. It wouldn't even get me a loan from a non-profit organization that receives grant money from the federal government to assist small business owners with capital to either continue their business, fund their business, or to expand it. Well, I was turned down, and another part of the reason why I felt jaded. And that were due to the banking regulations that came about from the subprime crisis, called the Dodd-Frank Bill. Now, the Dodd-Frank Bill basically applied so many different regulations and rules to lending procedures by community banks that community banks no longer wanted any part of it, of providing small business loans. Very, very few, very, very rare. And small community banks closed down like flies dropping in the wintertime. So getting back to how do you start a business? Bootstrapping. Now, bootstrapping is where you work your regular job, and then in the evening you work on your business, and you use resources and funds from your job or people that you may know that may believe in you and your idea and help fund your first business. That's the way that I started out. Now I had put together some deals to lease heavy haul trailers to some people that wanted to get engaged in a heavy haul. So that was a big, important step for me. Now, the problem was, how do I purchase these trailers? Because we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I was able to, because I had an inside line to an individual in a heavy haul trailer company, Fontaine Trailers, I was able to take delivery of trailers within 90 days, where most people couldn't get trailers in a year. Now this was in 05, 06, 07, when transportation and everything was just on fire. And so rolling stock, what they call rolling stock, and that's your equipment, your trucks, trailers, and stuff like that, was just really, really hard to come by. And at the time I was working for somebody who wanted to, I wasn't working for somebody, I was contracting my services to somebody who was wanting to start a heavy haul company. And they got in touch with me and had heard about me and my reputation, and hooked up with them. So as I'm working as a heavy haul driver, I'm squirreling bucks away, I'm putting things together, printers, contacts, logos, business name, corporate filings, etc., etc. But the important thing was that I had recognized an opportunity, and that opportunity was to provide equipment to people who didn't have access to equipment that wanted to get into heavy haul trucking. So this is where I put together the $15,000, and it wasn't easy. I, ate a lot of hot dogs, dollar hot dogs, drank a lot of water, and refrained from spending money on things that just weren't important to me. They were priorities. You have to have priorities in addition to your passion. And so with that, I had a few contracts in hand and leased out trailers. And this was the beginning of my revenue stream. Now at the time, I'd already started Stephen J. Rollins Inc. I'd gotten my corporate charter papers, etc., etc. And so I was able to merge everything and get started right away. Once the contracts were signed, that was cash money in my pocket, and I think I was generating, somewhere around $5,000 a month just with the trailers alone. And then this expanded into others, excuse me, with the other businesses. And so bootstrapping is a technical term in the small business world, and in which a entrepreneur makes maximum use of their resources to provide maximum return. So with this said, I hope that you've enjoyed what we've had, and that this is a primer to hopefully get some questions going in your mind, or at least begin to stir the fire in the belly to want to take that first step into entrepreneurship and your first small business, or enhancing your existing business. And this is what SBA Solutions does. We help. I'm sorry. Thanks for the tip, Wayne. We help small businesses get into. I'm sorry. We help aspiring entrepreneurs get into small business, start their first small business, and we help existing small business owners overcome the obstacles that they may face, such as employee retaining, finance, bookkeeping, SEO, website design, marketing, just about anything that has to do with business. So, Wayne Clark, I appreciate you joining me this morning. I hope that I've provided a little bit of insight, and again, get some of that fire stirring in the belly. And enjoy your coffee. Have a great day.